This is Mongolian Mindset, and today we're going to be breaking down the cognitive function, introverted feeling, which is a judging function or decision function, whatever you want to call it. It's mostly based around establishing value to things. First, we're going to be playing a clip from Dario Nardi, and then we'll be breaking down what we gathered from our resources. Our goal here is to make sure that even the blind, deaf, and dumb can figure out what introverted feeling is. Even the clowns over at Personality Database can if they watch this. These are taking a lot more time, so if you guys can please subscribe, comment, and like. Let me know if this is your hero function or parent function, and does this stuff make sense to you or not. So we're gonna play Dario first, and I highly recommend picking up his Udemy course. Like I said, there's 4 sections in this. One where he goes through like breaking down type, more into like the magic diamond parts of the type, and then coaching, and then the actual brain scans. So I highly recommend that. Dario did an amazing job on these. But let's get into this. My FI is in the 4th spot, so it's not that great, and I all the time get trampled by my best friend who's an INFP. Thing she likes to say is, I don't know what's important to me. Everything that I find important to me is shallow. She's ashamed of me. She's ashamed that I'm her friend. Things like that. That's what I get from my INFP best friend. She's a great person, but yeah, she can damn sure beat the shit out of me with FI Hero.
Introverted feeling, the quiet crusader. Sometimes those words might sound.
I think that makes perfect sense. Quiet crusader for the INFP. A lot of people don't really notice that they actually are behind a lot more things than you think. You know, they might be pushing that entj from the shadows. You know, remember that.
Like they don't go together; that they're opposites. Quiet, and yet crusading. And the essence of the function is a little bit contained within the managing of opposites. So what does it look like? Basic use is adhering to personal beliefs about what's important. And this sort of ties in with the general process of staying true to who I really am. And actually for you to stay true to who you really are.
I've noticed that with my INFP best friend, she will be quick to say, that's fake. You're being fake. Or some shit like that. I'm just like, fucking I know it.
And so there's just this sense of personal beliefs about what's important. This personal identity. I don't mean identity that's like assigned by society. I mean like your unique identity because of your life. Advanced use is evaluating situations and choosing what you believe is congruent with your personal identity. So it becomes an active process. Life experience comes in all the time. Emotions come up in us all the time. Questions come up all the time within us. The conscience says something, it pings us. And we have these particular identity and beliefs, and we're like, is this actually helping me meet the world? Is it helping me be me? Am I actually being me, or am I losing track of me? What is me anyway? And how do I remain congruent with all of these different things that are here? Because the incongruence creates this like tremendous feeling of disharmony internally. Like it's just agony if I'm trying to believe 2 or 3 different things at the same time, which are opposites of each other. Like in this.
And please remember that TE and FI are on the same axis. So if you are a TE user, you're also an FI user. If you're an FI user, you also have TE. It just depends on the spot. Like myself would be TE Dom, FI inferior. If you're an INTJ, it's gonna be TE parent, and TE and FI child or 3rd spot. If you're INFP, it's gonna be FI in the hero spot or 1st spot, and TE in the inferior spot.
Often can make sense. Example could be like bunnies are really fluffy and so cute, and they make wonderful pets. So how can you be a carnivore that like eats rabbit for dinner? This is like it creates a disharmony within them, not because of some abstract reasoning, but because they truly have this feeling of love for the bunny. And then this idea of also love for the taste of the bunny's flesh, like that just creates a disharmony there. So how do we live with that? So all the time these things in life are coming up, and then it becomes a process of continually discovering and rediscovering, what do I believe? What am I about? What is my purpose? Who am I? And either that becomes more and more complicated and becomes like a weighted, sort of weird set of contradictions that the person is trying to live with, or there's a process of simplifying and purifying to find like the essential essence that says like, in every situation, I look for where there's peace. Peace of mind, peace of the heart, peace for the body, peace for other people. And in that, there will be congruence. So that's an example of the use introverted feeling. It's more advanced sense.
So introverted feeling is going to be more on the morals, as in FE is going to be more on the ethics. FI is going to be more on the sympathy. FE is going to be more of the empathy, okay? Make sure you understand that. Let's skip over this.
And I saw this so many times in the brain imaging, that the person's brain would enter this state of relaxed flow. So
okay.
delta...
One thing I want to say when they talks about FI, they have the largest active listening that's been measured by Dario Nardi. If you check out his book, Neuro of Personality, he talks about the INFP actually having the largest active listening, and their brain goes into flow when they're listening to people. Second behind that is going to be the ISFP. People with the shortest actually listening time is going to be TI, heroes and parents, okay?
Waves, but very, very like maximum amplitude. So they're relaxed, they're very relaxed, but they're also on. All of their brain is aligned to listen to what the other person is saying, assuming that they want to listen, by the way. So to give a very good example of introverted feeling happening, there were two students in my lab, and they decided they were going to pick a topic that was contentious, and they knew each other from beforehand. They're in the same fraternity, and they're going to pick a contentious topic that they disagree on, which is gun control. And one of the students who had this very strong introverted feeling, INFP, this student was like, you know what, I've been curious to have this conversation, he said to his friend, and we haven't had it yet. And so he sat down, and for 10 minutes, they had this conversation, and he was the one that was hooked up to the brain imaging machine. And his brain was just so relaxed and yet so active as he took in everything, like every argument and every point that his friend was saying, who, by the way, was an ESTJ, the opposite type. And he's taking in this information without predisposing this part of the brain or that part of the brain, just whatever it is, and allowing like the wholeness of that other person to experience what it is that they're saying, how it is that they feel, what is it that they believe. And then finally he reached a point after 10 minutes where there was enough weight there that he's like, okay, I'm done listening. It's now my turn, and I've listened to myself and I formed a reaction to this. And this is how this sits for me. Not about imposing it upon you, but this is how it sits for me. And then he stopped listening, because then he's done with that listening mode, and it's something he's already made a decision.
Nice progression, Dario.
About. So this really, really is something, and active listening is not just word choice. Like, oh, I'm listening to a lecture. It's like voice tone, the intentions and the values that are implied by the voice tone. What words does the person emphasize when they speak that tells you their values? This is why these folks are very, very good at detecting the real intent of the people they encounter. Whereas extroverted feeling folks are often easily misled by the people they encounter and end up being sort of like, surprised by this person and fooled by a con man over here and this and that. The introverted feeling person is like all the time taking in who is the real me and who is the real you. And if the real you is coming off incongruent just because of your voice tone and body language, which are feeding, those are not introverted feeling by itself, but that sensory information that's informing the decision-making process. And then they begin to make a decision around it, and they notice there's this incongruence. And this incongruence is not fitting for me. Or you're not trustworthy, or whatever it is. Strong evaluation. So really, we see this reaction like, dislike, love, hate, neutral.
Also, yes, the lower FI is for you in your stack, the more neutral you'll try to become. That's why you'll see the TI parents and the TI heroes' ability to be objective and be neutral. Whilst those who are heavily strong in FI are more opinionated, okay, because it's more subjective.
This explains why often for these folks there's like an immediate like, oh, we just got along so well from the beginning, or like this person, like we just did not get along from the beginning. There often is this feeling because at some deep level, like maybe something about their identity, about values, they just picked up from the other person, and they're like, we just do not resonate. This person, it's not like a judgment on them, like we just do not resonate.
Just remember, FI users are always judging you, okay? They're always judging you. That's one thing about them.
And there's often this evaluation that's showing up in long-term choices. So there was somebody I know, this is his dominant function, his favorite one, and he wanted to make a decision about whether or not to be a vegetarian. And he spent actually several years deciding whether or not to be a vegetarian because he wanted to know that once he decided, he would actually be committed to it, that it wasn't just an experiment, that it wasn't wishy-washy, that he wasn't going to be cheating. And he wanted to be clear on, like, why am I doing this? Like, really deep down, like, is this, like, fundamentally, is it wrong as a human being to be consuming other animals? No, introverted feeling, by the way, could be concerned with a whole bunch of different things. I'm just using this, like, this bunny and vegetarian example as something to sort of highlight what it is. People with introverted feeling could be like right wing, left wing, liberal, conservative. Have like this set of values over here, and like a completely different set of values.
That's because FI is subjective to the user. Okay, it is subjective. While FE is what other people value, so it's more collective. Okay, as in TE is this would be the same way. FI is more inside. Okay, you can see somebody with FI and have some fucked up ass values. Okay, so remember that. But let's get into the notes here. I highly recommend you guys pick up Dario Nardi's course. It's an amazing thing he's got. So let's get into this. So you guys know we pull sources from Dario Nardi, John Beebe, Linda Behrens, and Kara Shoemate. From all the books, I went through and picked the best things I think fit the functions. We'll start with John Beebe. He has the heart of FI being appraising, so judging and establishing the value of. Okay, like I said, people who are strong in FI always know what's important to them. As in, I always get kind of beat up by my best friend who's an INFP when she tells me everything that I value is shallow, or I don't know what I actually value, or maybe Mercer, you're not a good person. Sometimes I can push the fucking envelope, okay? Because a lot of times I take the best move on the board, and I try to take away how I feel about something, or I try to think I do. But the thing about if you're a TE user, there's always hints of FI in every decision you make, okay? So the purpose: to achieve authentic self-expression, internal tranquility, personal values, moral decision-based judgments. It's going to be good or bad. Like they're going to be picking, okay, is this good? Is this bad? Is this, and asserting one's own feelings, okay? These people always know how they feel about something. The higher, like we talked about, the higher it up, the easier they can actually pinpoint that quite quickly. Lower it is, the more they're going to struggle with it. Basic use adheres to personal values that about what is important. Like we already talked about this, Dario talked about this. Advanced use evaluate situation and choose what you believe is congruent with your personal identity. Okay, so roles of FI focuses on likes and dislikes. So you always hear these people say, I like this, I love this, oh my god, this is the best, this is the greatest, that. That's gonna be FI there. Prioritize one own's integrity, okay, because they have their own moral standard inside themselves. Like we said, this is inside, not outside. Takes the most personal, subjective view, oriented to the individual instead of the group. Gives sympathy and seeks authenticity above all. So like we said, I don't think we said this, but FI is more sympathy and FE is more empathy. Okay, that's generally how that's gonna go. FI is more shame. FE is more guilt. Okay, but you can still get guilt FI users sometimes as well. When using this mental function, a person may appear serene and malleable, sympathetic, independent, and original, non-committal when the information is inconsistent with the values. As soon as you say something that don't check with their values, they checking out. Okay, like, focus on what is important to self. So they're always going to be checking on what's important to self, overlooking the needs of others, and can come off unreachable expressing their interests, passions, likes or dislikes or love. Okay, activities that might engage this mental function: listening to others in order to discern their values and identifying your own. See, they're all about identifying what they value, not so much about identifying what you fucking value. Okay, remember that. Okay, when you hear somebody talking about what you value or how you feel, that's gonna be more FE oriented. Identifying what caused you to disown another person, identifying the values that trigger emotions, whether positive or negative, identifying the people, things, and convictions that cannot be dispensed with, thinking about things most important to you. Okay. Activities that might inhibit this mental function: having to focus on caring for others. See, woo! Following orders that require submerging on priorities to the group. Focus on expediency. Okay, so I mean that's gonna be more TE. People who are strong with FI might have trouble having to speak for a group or enforcing uniformity. Okay, that's gonna be something with the people with strong FI will. Okay, when using FI, they continually weigh the situational worth or importance of everything. They approach matters first from the point of view of what is really important and of value. It is if they have a whole range of values in mind and see subtle distinction in the relative worth of different action, people, commitments, and so on. They continually examine choices to see if they match their inner value system and intent, often easily deciding if something is of significance and worth believing in. They mull over major choices, evaluating with deep intensity until they feel ready to make a decision. When they place loyalty, it is 100%. They trust their personal beliefs, often adhering to an empowering identity. Often they get a gut feeling of how good or bad something is and easily detect how someone's behavior is authentic or phony. Whenever I'm trying to be phony, my best friend who's INFP will call me out like, "Oh, you being phony. Oh, you being phony." It's so annoying. May sacrifice oneself for the cause, believing deeply that it is important, that its importance is beyond measuring. May be constantly aware of the presence or absence of inner tranquility and act in a way to increase or maintain the tranquil feeling. Okay, a lot of times these people are gonna want to achieve status, popularity, everything like that because it makes them feel good inside. It's all about feeling good inside. Okay, it's all about their morals, all about feeling good inside, all about what they feel like, what things like that. What's good and bad. Okay, tends to support values at the expense of consequences. See, that they can get so powerful in these damn values sometimes that they can be like, screw that, I believe in this, I'm ready to die for this right here. And they're like, yo, you're tripping. Yo, you're tripping. Whenever my best friend gets like that, she can get really like powered up on some value type shit. And I'm like, oh shit, she's going crazy. May get irritated if own values are not accepted. May try to impose value on others. That's gonna be more of like the FI parent. May try to impose values on others. It's really obnoxious when they do that. Really, really obnoxious. They make you try to like come off as a bad person if you don't agree with what they value, or if you're, like I said, if you don't agree with their value. Appreciates originality in people, things, nature, art, etc. Okay, so we're gonna go over Dario Nardi's yin and yang versions of FI. He's got the quester and the romanticist. The quester is the active, focused, fixed. This is gonna be part of the analytical brain. often in business, law, science, or technology. Pursue a singular life quest or truth. Aim for moral clarity, dedicated to a congruent set of beliefs. Align quest and core personal identity. Listen to a select voice. One's own conscience contains your feelings. That's definitely my best friend there. That's more of her. Okay. She's gonna be quick to tell me like I don't feel good about this, or I'm ashamed of you, or something like that. She's always gonna do that. Romanticist, FI. This is gonna be the more receptive, diffuse, flexible, holistic brain. Often in the arts, humanities, or social services. Live a life of deep, quiet feeling, listening to and harmonize with many voices. Pursue multiple soft quests. Allow room for inner and outer conflict. Identity is subtle, diffuse, and varies in the context of each relationship. So let me know which one do you identify with if you are a FI, hero, or parent. And let me know if this rings true to you, FI users out there. And does this help you guys figure out what FI is? Like we said, generally, they're going to be talking about their morals, what they value, what's good or bad, how to make themselves feel good, how they feel. They're going to be putting their feelings over the group's feelings, that type of thing. And they're going to be more attracted to like popularity and status. Because why? Because it makes them feel good. It makes us feel good. So yeah, this is our breakdown of introverted feeling. We got 3 more judging functions to go. Comment below. This is Mongolian Mindset, and I'm out.